Kira and welcome back to another vlog. It is Wednesday the 3rd of March and I have a few exciting life updates to share with you all, but before we do that I think it's important to just figure out what on earth I'm going to be reading during this reading vlog, because honestly at this point I have absolutely no idea. Throughout March, the Tis the Damn Readathon, Taylor Swift Readathon is happening, and I created a full TBR with like 9 books in it, so I have plenty to choose from, and yet right now I feel overwhelmed by choice, and so it's the 3rd of the month and I haven't done any reading yet. I haven't even opened or touched a book. So instead of choosing one of the books that I said I was going to be reading this month, I decided to kick it off with a surprise, which is perfect because I have actually just received a box from Book Retreat. Book Retreat were kind enough to send me one of their boxes. They have loads of different themed boxes and I've been sent their relaxation box, and I feel like relaxation is absolutely what I need because today I have already walked how many thousand steps? 16,500 steps. I've done a 5k run and then been for a walk as well. And also just the stress of trying to figure out what to read is making me feel like I'm in need of some relaxation. So I'm very much excited for this box, and I obviously have no idea what is going to be inside it. So I thought that together we could find out what I'm going to be reading in this reading vlog. And then hopefully after a surprise book, then I can read some or hopefully all of the books that I have from my Taylor Swift Readathon TBR. So let's open it up. Very cute. Oh, I just love their design. It's so simple but so cute. Oh, I love this already. So we have a beautiful pink polka dot scrunchie, which I absolutely adore. I really need more scrunchies because I am running low at the moment. Then we have 2 adorable tea bags. These are a bag of English breakfast tea, so we have 2 of them, and we all know that I absolutely love tea. Most excitingly of all, a Biscoff biscuit, which I am a big fan of. There is oh, I'm so doing this today, a face mask, a like tissue hydrating and soothing mask for dry and sensitive skin, which I so need because my skin gets so dry in the wintertime. Oh, more biscuits, we love to see it. A hair mask, delicious. Not that I'm going to be eating it, that made it sound like I was saying it was delicious to eat, but I just use delicious as like a positive, affirmative word. And then finally, we have a lovely bookmark and of course a surprise book. I absolutely love surprise books, just something about brown paper tied up with string. These are a few of my favourite things, but for real, I absolutely love it. So let's find out what I'm going to be reading. Okay. Let's do this. I literally have no idea at all, but I am very excited for the surprise. Ooh, this looks like a thriller. Little White Lies by Philippa East. Sometimes the smallest lies are the most devastating. Do you trust me? Anne White only looked away for a second, but that's all it took to lose sight of her young daughter. But 7 years later, Abigail is found, and as Anne struggles to connect with her teenage daughter, she begins to question how much Abigail remembers about the days she disappeared. Oh, I've been so wanting a good thriller. I haven't read one in ages, and this one sounds incredible, amazing. I'm so happy. What a great pick. So that was the book box. I will of course leave Book Retreat linked down below so you can go and check them out. I love the concept of their boxes. I just think they're so lovely. And then moving on to the promised life updates. The first one is one that I feel like I've kind of been talking about roughly since the beginning of the year, and I think I mentioned in an earlier vlog this year, in maybe January, that I was hoping to maybe do some further training or further education at some point this year. And so throughout February I was applying to do a counselling qualification. It's a 3-year counselling qualification. It starts in May, and essentially it's a part-time weekend and distance study, which means I can still work whilst I'm doing it, but at the end of that I will be qualified and able to register as a counsellor, which I'm so excited about, and I'm really looking forward to diving into some further study. And I'll definitely be sharing updates about that and maybe some study with me vlogs and things like that once I actually get started. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I'm super excited. And the second, more recent but even more exciting update is that Jay and I are currently looking to move out. I feel like a few of you have asked if we're ever going to move out, which we definitely are. We've kind of just been waiting for the right time, but now we are looking to move out and find a house to rent, hopefully in York. We currently live in Leeds, but we're looking to move over to York, which isn't too far away, but is a different city and really, really beautiful. And we have found a place that we think we're going to be able to get. I'm just waiting for all of the checks to come through and all of that kind of thing. So if that is the case, then I'll be moving soon, which will mean moving vlogs, bookshelf organisation, which is something that you guys ask for all of the time, but because we have such limited space for books at the moment, I've never been able to do a bookshelf tour or anything to do with organisation because they're literally just stuffed on the shelves with no room to spare. So I'm very excited to actually be able to organise books in hopefully a nice way. So those are all of my updates. This is what I'm going to be reading. Big thank you again to Book Retreat for sending this box over, and I'm going to get started on some afternoon reading. Okay, it has been a couple of hours and I've made a start on reading Little White Lies, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm on page 54 and I think this book has a little bit over 300 pages, so I'm very much at the beginning. But when I'm starting a thriller, the main thing that I look for, at least from the beginning section of the book, is just that I want to kind of be intrigued and hooked and interested to find out more, and that is definitely the case with this one. So as I mentioned when reading the description of this book, it basically is focusing on like a domestic thriller situation in which a family finally has their daughter Abigail returned to them after she was kidnapped 7 years prior. So Abigail was kidnapped, I believe, aged 7, and then she returns back to the family aged 15. So that's like a period of like 7 or 8 years has passed, and so much has happened. And then I think after completely losing all hope of her ever coming back to them, she is returned back to the family, but obviously so many other questions sort of arise from that situation, figuring out where she was, what happened to her, and basically how she fits back into family life, having been through such a traumatic ordeal. Now, one thing that I'm finding really interesting about this book so far is the fact that it is dual perspective, but a kind of surprising two choices of characters. The first choice of character is Abigail's mum, Anne, and it's basically all about her sort of course, getting her daughter back, but then it not really going quite as well as she'd hoped, and kind of like having that awkwardness of being so in anticipation of this day that she never thought would come, her daughter being returned back to her, but then actually realising that there's so many years have gone by without them knowing each other that it's kind of like difficult to pick up where they left off and figure out like what the context of their relationship is. So that was kind of the perspective that I expected, but I thought that the second perspective might be from Abigail herself, but actually we have Abigail's cousin. Abigail's cousin is Jess, and Jess and Abigail are the same age, and from what you have, or what we've been told at this point in the book at least, they were like best friends and really close before basically like Abigail went missing. So what's really interesting about these two perspectives is that Anne, Abigail's mum, was obviously really excited for her daughter to come back, but she now has no idea how to act and is just really nervous about doing something wrong, whereas Jess kind of feels as though everything's just picking up exactly where it left off. And I don't think either of them are quite getting it right, but it's really interesting to have those two different perspectives. And I wasn't expecting to get a perspective from Abigail's cousin. I'd not even thought about that, but actually it is really interesting, and I think provides a interesting comparison not only to how people could respond differently to this victim being returned back to the family, but also Jess kind of is like the antidote to Abigail, because she is what maybe could have happened if Abigail's traumatic situation of being kidnapped never happened, because they were so similar in age and in their personalities beforehand that it's kind of like Abigail seeing what her life could have been like if things had gone differently. So there are still so many questions. Of course, it is meant to be a thriller, but we haven't really had much of a thriller thrown in there yet. It's mostly just about like figuring out how she fits back into the family. But there have been a couple of hints that Abigail's mum, Anne, and also her aunt Lillian, who is Jess's mum, potentially know something a little bit more about what happened to her. So that's obviously, I think, going to expand and turn into the main part of the thriller. But so far, as I'm sure you can tell from the fact that I'm talking about it non-stop, I'm enjoying this book a lot and looking forward to seeing where it goes. It's currently like 11 a.m. and so far today I have been for a run, I've done all of my 10,000 steps for the day, and now that I'm home it feels just like a really great day for making pancakes. So that is exactly what I'm gonna do. Oh my god, I just hit myself in the face with this ponytail, but I'm gonna make pancakes, so let's do it. I'm now on page 206 of Little White Lies, which puts me at about 2/3 of the way through this book, and I'm really enjoying it. However, the description on the back, which says a heart-thumping racing thriller, isn't exactly my experience so far. This book is definitely mysterious and is really intriguing, and I'm very invested in the characters and very invested in figuring out what happened to Abigail, the girl that was kidnapped and is now back with her family. But so far I really don't feel like it is a book that I would describe as a thriller. It's building up mystery, suspense, and the hint of information that hasn't been shared with the police and things that have been hidden between various family members. But so far it feels very like a slow burn mystery rather than an intense thriller, which is making me even more excited for the final like 100 or so pages, because I feel like it's going to pick up the pace very quickly and probably become quite an intense thriller, which I'm really excited about. But until this point it's building up a really solid base of my interest and investment in all of the characters, which I think is great because it's going to mean that the actual thrilling parts are even more intense and there's kind of like even higher stakes. So really enjoying it, and I think one thing that is very clever structurally in the way that this book is built up is the fact that this book is all about Abigail, but it really obviously cleverly, as I've discussed before, doesn't choose to give Abigail her own perspective, and it's all about kind of her being thrust back into this family situation and kind of being told that everything's all right now because she's back with her family and back where she's supposed to be. But in her mind she actually felt like she should have been where she was before, because that was where she'd lived for so many years, and everything in her circumstances now just feels like it's been turned upside down. And it's really interesting to have everyone being so kind of like focused on and obsessed with her, but she actually isn't really given the space to explore her own reality and settle back into life at her own pace. And I think that that is really well conveyed by the fact that she doesn't even have a perspective within this novel, and it's kind of all about her without actually giving her the space to tell her own burn story, which I think is really clever and works really well for the way that this narrative is building up this story. So really enjoying it, and I'm hoping to be able to finish it in the next day, maybe even this evening, but either way, gonna finish it soon, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. Okay, I just finished up reading Little White Lies, and this was definitely at least a 4-star read for me. I really enjoyed it. I actually went in quite a unique, or at least an unexpected for me kind of way at the end. I didn't see the ending coming. I still stand by my earlier statements that I'm not sure that this book really falls into the thrillery category, but that didn't take away from my enjoyment of it. I would say that if you were really hoping for one that lived up to that heart-thumping racing thriller that the blurb kind of builds up, you might be slightly disappointed, but I read that and the premise intrigued me, but I was open to exploring whatever the book had to offer, and I would say this is definitely more of a slow burn, dark mystery that really focuses in on quite a complicated family dynamic, which is something that I always love and find myself really enjoying explored well in a book. And I think the fact that we had multiple perspectives and this really complicated situation created this insight into this family dynamic that I think was really interesting and nuanced, very mysterious, very dark, but not, in my personal experience or opinion, very thrillery, but nonetheless a really enjoyable book, one that I had never heard of. So a big thank you to Book Retreat for sending this along with my relaxing book box, because I honestly had never heard of this book. I've never seen anyone talk about it, but I really enjoyed it and would highly recommend it because I thought it was really interesting, and I'm so glad this has hopefully boosted me out of my beginning of the month, I wouldn't say reading slump, but just a reading overwhelm with no idea what on earth I wanted to read. So thank you for Book Retreat again for sending this. And in the spirit of Book Retreat and the fact that I had been sent a relaxed book box, I've actually been doing a lot of running recently, as I've mentioned, and I'm loving it. Done a run already this morning, so I figure I might spend the rest of my day relaxing and enjoying some of the other elements of the book box. Namely, I think I'm going to make myself a hot drink. I'm feeling hot chocolate, so I think I might make myself the Galaxy Vegan hot chocolate and then do the sheet face mask that was sent in the box as well. So that's the rest of my afternoon, and I think I might catch up on some YouTube because I haven't really watched any, and hopefully by the end of this vlog I will have decided what on earth I'm going to read next. Good morning. The next day is upon us. I'm just about to head out for a morning walk. And before I go any further, can I just say, any other curly haired people relate? Because I wanted to put my hair up because it looked horrific down. Today's a hair wash day and it's going to look better after I've washed it later. I didn't want to wash it before going out for a walk, so I just had to brush it, and it's literally gigantic, and not in like a fun way, in like a what on earth is that big fat brush on your head, because it's huge and I literally feel like basil brush. So boom boom, and we'll just have to pretend that that's not what's going on behind the face, because honestly I do love my hair, but at the same time it causes a lot of unnecessary stress. So hair aside, I'm about to head out for a walk, and I think I have decided, well, that is a lie, I've narrowed down what my next read is going to be. I'm actually feeling kind of memoir-y, and I want to come back to the TBR that I have set myself for this month, which luckily has 2 memoirs in, so I'm trying to narrow it down, and I'm just going to do it right here on camera, put myself under pressure, because then I'll actually make a decision. So without further ado, please don't fall off the bookshelf, cup of tea. Okay, so the contenders are Wild by Cheryl Strayed and Stephen King on Writing. So very different vibes. This one is obviously about writing and about Stephen King's story and how he, you know, became an incredible author. And then we have Wild, which is all about a woman's journey of this huge hike and sort of like dealing with some difficult circumstances and using this big long hike to cope with it. So without further ado, my decision is, why am I like announcing the X Factor results as if anyone really cares that much about what I'm going to read next? But I think I'm going to go for Stephen King on Writing. I'm just really excited to read more about Stephen King's story and just see whether this like adds any more context into his works, because I do love Stephen King and I just love his books, and I just think that this is going to be really, really interesting. I believe that Noelle Gallagher, who is a fellow Stephen King fan, absolutely love her channel, and also love that we both love Stephen King. I'm pretty sure that she has talked about Stephen King on Writing and said that it was really incredible to read more about his story, and she is one of the only other people who I think shares my love of Stephen King, like to the extent where I'm obsessed. So definitely think this is going to be a good choice, but I definitely think I'm also going to read Wild next after reading Stephen King on Writing. So next book has been decided, but I think I've probably chatted to you enough throughout this vlog all about the Little White Lies book that I read, which was also incredible. So would highly recommend that, especially if you're looking for like that complicated, dark family dynamic slash thriller, but not really too thrillery, because I really enjoyed it. And again, another big thank you to Book Retreat for sending their books. I will link them down below so you can go and check them out, because I think they are wonderful. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.